أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم. My dear brothers and sisters, last night I spoke to you about Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais, one of the great tabi'een and a leader amongst his people. I want to continue with the story of Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais as he grew older. He would move from Najd to Al-Basra, and he would live in Al-Basra, him and his people. So they would all move to Al-Basra. And he would participate in the battles that were happening against the Persian Empire at the time. And while he was a soldier in the Muslim army, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he wrote a letter to the leader of the battle, the leader of the army, and he said, I want you to send me 10 of your young men so they can give me a report on what's happening with the battle. So I want them to give me a report, and I want to also know what is needed for the battlefield. So they needed, food and medicine and this and that. So I want you to have them come and kind of give me a report, and I want to talk to them. So the leader of the battlefield at that time, his name was Utbah ibn Ghazwan. He sent 10 men, and amongst them was Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais, the great tabi'i. And when these 10 men arrived to Medina, to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he greeted them warmly. He was so happy to see them, and they began to give him an accounting of the battles that they were fighting with the Romans, with the Persians. And after they finished giving him the report and what is needed, then they each began. He asked them. He said, "Tell me, what do you want? As individuals, you just came on a long trip from Al-Basra. What are your needs as individuals?" And so each one of them began to ask for something. Some wanted money, some wanted clothing, some wanted, I need help for my brother or my whatever, and this and that. And so each one of them had their own little thing that they wanted to ask the Khalifa help with. Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais was the last one of the 10 to talk to Umar ibn al-Khattab. And he stood up, and again, the way he approaches the problems are really amazing. He stood up and he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, O leader of the faithful, the soldiers who are in Egypt are in a place that is green and that has fresh water, the water of the Nile. And the soldiers in Asham, the soldiers in the area of Asham, they are in an area with a lot of different rivers, because Asham has a lot of different rivers, and a lot of fruit trees. Asham is famous for its fruits. It has a lot of fruit trees and beautiful gardens. And the soldiers in the lands of Persia, they are in an area where kings used to live. So they have gardens and greenery. But the people in Basra is in southern Iraq, they are near salt water because they were close to the Arabian Gulf. So they had water that was not, you can't use it. It's salt water. So they cannot use it for irrigation, and they cannot use it to drink it. And the land is not very good. You can't grow things in it. So I want to ask you, to make their life better, we need to dig an area so that we can bring the water from the river. These are, of course, there were two rivers there, the Euphrates and the Tigris. And he said, we want to dig something so we can get the water to the city of Al-Basra so that people can have fresh water and they can flourish and their economy can flourish and they can start to have an agriculture and have an economy and do good. And that's what I'm asking you to do. SubhanAllah. I mean, just think about that. Here is a guy, he's a soldier. Okay, he's not a civil engineer. He's not an agricultural engineer. He's not an economist. None of that. He's a soldier. But he had vision. And the way he started by telling him about the soldiers in Egypt and the soldiers in Persia and the soldiers in Asham. And what about the people of Al-Basra? They are the ones in the salt water. You need to help them. Umar ibn al-Khattab was so impressed by this man. He looked at the other 9 young people. He said, you should have done what he did. Instead of asking for your own good, you should have done what he did. He's asking for the good of the people of his city. Wallahi innahu lasayyid. By Allah, he is indeed a leader. Subhanallah al-Azim. And then he looked at Al-Ahnaf, Umar ibn Khattab, he looked at Al-Ahnaf, and he said, I will do exactly what you asked. I will do exactly what you asked. But is there something that you need personally? He said, we didn't come here for our own needs. We came to you on behalf of our people in Al-Basra. So I don't have any needs of my own. My need is what I already asked of you. Umar was impressed. He said, هذا الغلام, this young man, سيد أهل البصرة. He is the leader of the people of Al-Basra. Subhanallah. Yes, there was a governor of Al-Basra, but he was the leader. Subhanallah. Subhanallah al-Azim. That's the kind of man he was. Al-Ahnaf and the 10 men would return to Al-Basra, and they would participate in the battles against the Persians. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would make them victorious. And they liberated a city by the name of Tustur. And Tustur was a city in which they defeated the Persian army, and they took as a prisoner the Hormuzan. The Hormuzan was the military leader of the Persians. He was a man who was extremely intelligent, but he also was a man who was not trustworthy, because he had made several treaties with the Muslims, and every time he made a treaty, he would violate the treaty. So he was not trustworthy. Every time he would violate the treaty. Every time, multiple times, over and over and over. So when they got him, they were so happy that now they were going to get rid of this guy who was not trustworthy. And as soon as they got a hold of him, he said, wait a second, before you do anything with me, I'm a leader of my army. I want you to take me to your leader, to Umar ibn al-Khattab in Al-Madinah. Subhanallah. So he wanted to buy himself time because he was afraid they were going to kill him right there on the battlefield. So the leader of the Muslim army said, sure enough. And he got a group of men, a group of young, strong men, to take him and transport him from Al-Basra to Al-Madinah. And the leader of that small group was going to be Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais. And they went forward with Al-Hormuzan to Al-Madinah. And when they arrived in Al-Madinah, they arrived at a time which was after the Asr prayer. So they had already prayed Asr. And when they entered the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there was nobody there. And they asked, where is Umar? And they told them, Umar is there lying under the tree. He's taking a nap. That was his habit. After Asr, he would take a short nap lying under, because he never slept at night. He was always up at night seeing what's going on in Medina. So he would sleep after Asr. He would sleep for an hour or two and take a nap under the tree. So Al-Ahnaf and these people with the Hormuzan, by the way, the Hormuzan, when they captured him, he was wearing silk. And he had a crown. He wasn't the king of Persia, but he had a crown, and the crown had gold and silver and all these, and pearls and all these nice things on it, very expensive stuff. So they kept him with his same garb that he had, and they went to Medina. And then when they told him Umar is underneath the tree, they went there waiting for Umar ibn Khattab to wake up so that he can deal with this guy, the Hormuzan. Al-Hormuzan didn't speak Arabic, so he didn't even understand what they were talking about. And he, of course, had no idea that this guy lying down underneath the tree was Umar, was the leader of all the believers. Subhanallah. He had no clue. And everyone was silent. And the Hormuzan did not understand why everybody was silent. So he was kind of curious. Why are they not talking? You know? And he said, maybe they're just waiting for the Khalifa to come, and maybe that's their protocol. They stay silent until the Khalifa arrives. But next to him was Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah was fluent in the Persian language. So Al-Hurmuzan looked at him and asked him in Persian. He said, "Who is this guy who's sleeping and everybody's quiet? Who is he?" Al-Mughira looked at him and he said, "This is Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar. This is the leader of the faithful, Umar." The narrators say, فَفَغَرَ الْهُرْمُزَانِ. Faghara in Arabic means when you are surprised and you open your mouth. What? This guy who's sleeping is your Khalifa? He said, yes. He said, where are the guards? He said, he doesn't have any guards. He said, what about his assistants and the people who, his secretaries? And he said, he doesn't have any of that. He said, then he must be a prophet. No way he's a Khalifa. This guy must be a prophet. And Mughira said to him in Persian, he said, no, he's not a prophet, but he acts like the prophets. Subhanallah al-Azim. Umar ibn Khattab would wake up, and when he looked at Al-Hurmuzan, he turned his face. He was disturbed by the way he looked, with the silk clothing, with the expensive thing that he had on his head. He just couldn't deal with it. And he looked at Al-Ahnaf and he said, is this the Hurmuzan that I hear about? Al-Ahnaf said, yes, this is the Hurmuzan. He said, I don't want to talk to him until you get rid of all this stuff. See, that's what he called it, stuff. Mata'. The stuff from the dunya that he has on him. Get rid of it. I don't want to see it. So they quickly changed his clothes and removed the crown that he had. And after that, Umar ibn al-Khattab would talk to Al-Hurmuzan. It's a funny story of what happened to Al-Hurmuzan, but I'll tell you in brief. Umar ibn al-Khattab started to look at him and he said, Ya Hurmuzan, you cheated us on so many treaties. You violated so many treaties. You yourself are responsible for the loss of so many Muslim lives. And now you are captured. And now you are nothing but a prisoner. And you deserve nothing but to be killed. SubhanAllah. Al-Khattab was tough. It was tough. Al-Hurmuzan looked at Umar and he said, Ya Umar, before Islam, see, Hurmuzan was very smart. He said, before Islam, Allah was not with us and He was not with you. So we beat you. Because always the Arabs used to lose the wars with the Persians before Islam. He said, before Islam, Allah was neither with us nor with you. So we beat you. But when Allah became with you, you beat us. This is the Hurmuzan is telling Umar. Umar radiallahu anhu looked at him and he said, you say the truth. You're saying the truth. That's indeed why we beat you, because Allah is with us. He said, but there was another reason. Before Islam, you were united and we were divided. And after Islam, we became united and you became divided. That's the other reason. Subhanallah. He said, before I kill you, I want you to tell me why you violated all of those treaties we had with you. I'm a fair man, and before I kill you, I have to hear from you. Maybe you had a good reason to do it. So give me, ma udhruka, what is your excuse for violating all the treaties that I signed with you? Al-Hurmuzan said, I'm afraid you'll kill me. If I tell you, you'll kill me. He said, don't worry, I won't kill you until you tell me. This is Umar told him, I will not kill you until you tell me. Al-Hurmuzan calmed down a little bit. Then he looked at Umar and he said, I'm thirsty. SubhanAllah, thirsty. Umar said, bring him some water. So they brought a cup and they put some water. He looked at the cup, he said, I don't drink out of this kind of cup. I mean, this guy, he was wearing a crown with gold on it. I mean, he's not going to drink out of any cup. said, I don't drink out of this kind of cup. Umar was really getting upset now. He said, okay, bring him a cup he will drink from. So they brought him a nicer cup. And when he held the second cup, his hand was shaking. He was holding the cup and his hand was shaking. Umar said, what's wrong with you? He said, I'm afraid that as soon as I drink, you're going to kill me. SubhanAllah. Umar said, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you until you drink. So now Umar gave him two promises, right? The first one, he's not going to kill him until he tells him why he broke the treaties. And number two, he's not going to kill him until he drinks the water. So Al-Hurmuzan took the cup of water and he threw it on the ground. SubhanAllah. You see, he's smart. He wanted to secure himself from being killed. Umar ibn al-Khattab got upset. He said, why did you ask for the water and then you threw it? He said, well, I wasn't thirsty. I just wanted to use that to get out of being killed. SubhanAllah. Umar ibn al-Khattab now was really upset. He said, لَقَدْ خَدَعْتَنِي. You tricked me. You tricked me by doing this. I'm going to kill you anyway. Anas ibn Malik, one of the great Sahaba, looked at Umar and he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you promised him. You can't kill him. You promised him not to kill him unless he told you, and you won't kill him until he drank the water, so you cannot. SubhanAllah, Hurmuzan is listening to this. I mean, he's sitting there watching. Umar is ready to kill him. He's so upset with him. And one of the Sahaba comes and says, no, you can't. Imagine someone telling the leader, Umar, the Khalifa, he says, you cannot do it because you promised him. He said, Anas, how can you tell me that? This guy, remember, he killed your brother in battle. Subhanallah. Anas ibn Malik had a brother whose name was Al-Bara ibn Malik, was killed in a battle by Al-Hurmuzan. He said, this man killed your own brother. How can you protect him like this? He said, I'm not protecting him. I'm protecting the truth. You promised him. Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais stood up, our man who we're talking about today. And he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Anas is right. Anas is right. You shouldn't kill him. You promised him. You shouldn't kill him until he tells you why he broke the treaties and until he drinks water. Then you can kill him. But right now you cannot kill him. Al-Hurmuzan, when he saw this exchange, he said, I am ready to become a Muslim. And he accepted Islam. And Umar ibn al-Khattab looked at him and he said, Wallahi la ankhadi'u illa li Muslim. Nobody can fool me except a Muslim. A non-Muslim will never fool me. Subhanallah, he knew. He said, I knew you were a Muslim in your heart. And Al-Hurmuzan became a good Muslim. And Umar ibn al-Khattab would give him 2,000 dinars as a gift. Subhanallah al-Azim. Al-Ahnaf was so happy to hear this. Umar ibn al-Khattab then sat down with the leaders who had brought Al-Hurmuzan, and he started to ask them about the Christians. In that area, there were Christians, and these Christians, they were Arabs. So they were Arab Christians, but what would happen is they would sometimes side with the Persians against the Muslims. So that was the problem. So Umar ibn Khattab was kind of disturbed by this. Why? I mean, we both believe in Allah, and why are they siding with these non-believers against us, the believers? And we never treated the Christians badly. Why are they doing this to us? So he looked at these young men who had brought the Hurmuzan, and he said to them, why do you think the Christians are doing this to us? Why are they siding with the Persians and not with us when we have something in common? We have belief in Allah in common, and we are going to protect them. We don't treat them badly. Why are they siding with the Christians? Have any of us treated them badly? So Umar was worried that maybe the Muslims were treating the Christians badly, and that's why they were siding with the enemy. So one of the men who were in the group said, no, no, we're not treating them badly. Then he said, why do you think they're doing it? What do you suspect is the reason? And they began to give Umar different reasons and excuses of this and that and the other thing. Oh, they're Christians. Oh, they kind of give them, bad-mouthing them. Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais, after everyone finished talking, again, he's an amazing leader, a sharp leader. He stood up and he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, O leader of the faithful, I will tell you the answer to your question. I'm going to tell you why the Christians are siding with the Persians. He said, the problem, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, is that you did not allow us to attack the Persians in their own empire. So there was a rule. Umar ibn Khattab, the Persians were a big superpower at the time. And Umar ibn Khattab didn't want the Muslim army to be killed by the superpower, so he gave them limits. He said, you only go to Iraq, but you don't enter Persia. You don't go beyond Iraq. We don't want you to go into Persia. So all the battles with the Persians were not happening in the land of the Persians. They were happening in Iraq. So that was the difference. He said, you don't allow us to enter the land of the Persians. And as long as they have their own territory, they will continue to be strong. And as long as they are strong, people will side with them because they're afraid of them. The Christians are not because they hate us, but because they're afraid of the Persians. In the minds of the Christian minority, if the Muslims lose the battle, the Muslims will go back to Medina. But what's going to happen to them? They live there. And the Persians are right across the street. They're going to come and kill them. So they have no choice. They have to side. So he started to explain the politics of the region to Umar ibn al-Khattab. And he said, the only way to solve this problem for you is to give us, the Muslim army, the green light to attack the Persians in their own country and to demolish them and destroy their power. And if we do that, then you will find that everyone in that region will follow us and will be with us. Subhanallah. Umar ibn al-Khattab was listening to Al-Ahnaf and how he explained the dynamics of the power in the region and the situation with the Christians and the Persians and the empire. And he thought, my God, this guy is something else. This guy is really, really a leader. And he said, لَقَدْ صَدَقَنِي الْأَحْنَفِ وَكَشَفَ مَا غَابَ عَنِّي. Al-Ahnaf is telling me the truth. And he's revealing to me something I didn't think of, something that escaped my thoughts. He's revealing to me the truth. And he gave the order. He gave the order, he wrote it down, and he said, you take this back to the leader of your army and you tell him Umar ibn al-Khattab is giving you the green light. Tell him what you need. Do you need more soldiers? Do you need more horses? Do you need more equipment? I will supply you with it, but go ahead and fight with the Persians in their own land so they will stop attacking us and attacking the believers in Iraq. That decision by Al-Ahnaf would change the course of history. Leadership is not just speaking good words. Okay, that's a lot of, actors speak great words, but they're not leaders. Anyone can say anything good. Poets are amazing. I mean, they speak the most beautiful words, but they're not leaders. Leaders also have to have a vision. They have to see the future. They have to plan. They have to study things and understand the details and the nuances of the situations they are facing and come up with recommendations that will solve those. Al-Ahnaf was that kind of man. And here, by his advice to Umar ibn al-Khattab, would change the course of history. And the Persian Empire, the non-believing Persian Empire, would fall. And all of the inhabitants of Persia, vast majority of them, would become Muslims. And Islam would go beyond Persia eastward. Subhanallah al-Azim. One decision from Al-Ahnaf would change the course of history. That is indeed true leadership. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه.